Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about a very neglected muscle group, or at least sometimes it's neglected, sometimes I think people overtrain it to the point where it becomes too dominant. So first off, I'm going to break it down in terms of why you would want to use this for your particular sport, and then different ways of training this muscle. So technically it's a few different muscles, but it's all within the same area. So without further ado, I'm going to be talking about the neck muscles. So the first one I want to talk about is the trap. So that's this that hangs right here. If you see a bodybuilder doing a most muscular pose, they'll pop their traps forward. Then you also have to worry about the front of the neck and then the back of the neck, which is like attached in kind of this arcing motion up to the head. Just a reminder, I'm not a personal trainer. This is all just stuff that I've learned on my own. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm not your doctor. I'm not your personal trainer. So there's a few reasons why you would want to use this for your particular sport or any sort of physical activity. So let's start with, say, bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, you want to do it for proportions. You don't want your arms to get too big and your shoulders to get too big, and then your traps be lagging. So if you go into a most muscular pose, nothing pops out. You want to make sure that it's equivalent all around. For strongman, it's kind of obvious. You need that muscle group to be strong for a multitude of reasons. I mean, everything from deadlifts to frame carries to fireman's carries farmer's carries, not fireman's carries. I mean, there's so many reasons why you'd want that as a strongman. And then when it comes to other sports like football or any sort of contact sport like hockey, it's really good for injury prevention, and it's very good to actually prevent movement of the head as far as, concussions go. And by having a stronger neck, you can have more resistance and a better ability not to ricochet your head, causing yourself to get a concussion. It's been shown that the stronger your neck is, the more likely you are to have less severe concussions or less concussions in general. Then obviously there's a multitude of other sports that would have it apply to them. Swimming, it's kind of obvious, it's involved in a lot of motions. I'm not a swimmer, that's just from anecdotal knowing a little bit about the sport. I mean, obviously baseball, it would increase your ability to swing the bat, and it would, as a synergist, not actually the movement, because obviously, the primary mover is not your traps or anything with your neck, really. But the main thing I wanted to get across was that contact sports and powerlifting, strongman, anything like that is really going to require a strong trap and neck muscle. And with powerlifting, it's obviously going to be really important with the deadlift. Any sort of synergistic muscle that you can get stronger, you want to try and get stronger. So the first way that a lot of people train their neck is by doing a some people like to put a towel around their head and go on the edge of a bench and have a partner or a friend grab their head and then actively resist whatever movement they're going. So they might put their hands like this and do that. A lot of people will do it on their own. Kind of looks goofy, but either way, you can constrain it forwards, backwards, sideways, and that pretty much covers all the movement that has to go with anything that could happen with any sort of hit to the head when it comes to football or hockey. Obviously, there's a million other sports that would apply to, like lacrosse. I mean, soccer, just from the sheer fact that a lot of the time you're sliding into different positions, you're not always stagnant standing up. I mean, it really applies to everything, as well as the fact that it would help in any sort of headbutting context in soccer. So that's one way that I would say is the primary way you can train your neck. Sometimes there's machines that you can essentially put on your face or your forehead and then actively put the resistance towards that. But the one way that most people train it, and some people, like I said, will overtrain this to the point where if they're a bodybuilder, it's just much too large. Now that really just only applies to bodybuilders. It doesn't really matter what you look like in a sport as long as you're efficient at the movements. So to build up this muscle, the trap, basically the back of the neck, you want to be able to do 2 different types of shoulder shrugs. So the first type of shoulder shrug, I'm just going to show you with my 90s really quick. You want to make sure that your shoulders are back and tight and you lift up. Let me back up so you can see it better. Up. And you don't want to go too far back to where you're arching your back or anything. You want to make sure and go right up. And you want to try and squeeze it towards your ear. If you didn't hear me, I meant to say you want to try and squeeze it towards your ear. I realized I was talking in the wrong direction. Another very important one to developing the lat and can actively work the rest of the neck as well. I'm just going to show you with my 20s really quick. This one you can't do with as much weight. It'd be to put it over the head. My arms are going to be out of frame, my apologies. And shrug upwards. Now that one I learned a long time ago. I use that one less often than I use the typical shoulder shrug. My reasoning for that is I think if you work that movement too much, you're working more of the delicate parts of your neck, and this one you're working the main mover. Now, I don't know that to be for a fact. You'd have to ask your personal trainer or your whoever advises you on lifting. And that's just those are 2 key exercises plus the different exercises I showed you on your movement of the neck that can help prevent injuries in different types of sports. They can help in strongman with different types of lifts, powerlifting. They can help in soccer with headbutts, as well as making sure you don't get any sort of concussion from falling. I personally think that more people should be trying to train their neck on a regular basis, regular people, because we can't avoid a car crash if it's going to happen. We can't avoid falling down if it's going to happen. We can't avoid slipping on ice if it's the middle of winter. There's not much you can do to avoid that, but you can avoid getting severely injured in that case. That's part of the reason why lifting is so important in the first place, is it helps to build up the strength of every muscle, making it less likely that you're going to tear anything, break anything, or in this case, cause a concussion or any sort of skull damage. So that was my video for you guys today. Basically on one muscle I think people should train more. Or if you're a bodybuilder, some people need to cool it on that a little bit. Oddly enough, it's actually because bodybuilders tend to overuse certain sorts of performance enhancers. And those performance enhancers have a higher affinity to bind in the traps and the shoulders, therefore making their traps and shoulders overdeveloped. I don't know that for a fact. That's typically what's just touted as bro science online, and I'm not endorsing any sort of performance enhancers, so I'm not even going to say what they are. Yeah, that's my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it today. Leave a comment down below if you liked it. Give me a like. Tell me what you guys want to see next. Really, just comment anything. I really want to hear what you guys have to say. If you want me to do any sort of specific talks on any sort of supplements or any sort of performance enhancing items, I guess you could say, just let me know. Even if you wanted me to explain why you would use certain things like weight belts or blood flow restriction bands or any sort of grip strength aid, such as like a glove, just let me know. So yeah, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Remember when you bench to keep your shoulders back and down. Bye.